Okay, so actually, all I wanted to point out is that section 957 of the Will to Power is really very important, even though it has been superseded by yeah by actually published passages. It's just a note, but still, he says there. Nietzsche says there that the men of great creativity who fashion man, or yeah, who give law-giving moralities in order to fashion man according to the pleasure of their creative and profound will, that those are the really great men according to my understanding. And yeah, that's I think really important because if you think like what kind of man should I think of? I'm thinking of Nietzsche's Superman. Then according to this passage, that's the kind of man you should think of, and yeah, that may kind of change people's impressions, I think. Um, and what I was especially wanting to point out about it right now is that well, Nietzsche basically says those men are lacking and have been lacking and will be lacking for a long time unless something changes. Um, and namely, what has changed is basically herd morality, the reigning morality, which is even, yeah, by most people considered like morality itself, the only really moral worldview. But in order to change that, he says, yeah, you cannot just breed men like that, those men of great creativity, but you have to begin by training or breeding. I think only, yeah,
What?
yeah.
Go on, please.
Okay.
Breed only, like, it
Mm.
would be, you cannot directly breed them, or.
Right, right. Well, this is an idea I have. That first you have to get, a relative peak, so relatively higher men, uh, who, yeah, have to work for many generations before, such a, well, not absolutely high man, but still, yeah, significantly higher man can come up. One of the men I started talking about. Uh,
So can you again summarize, like, how does he define? So they create at will. They work on.
well, what I was especially wanting to point out right now is that he says that in the beginning that has to, let me quote, that if this is to be taught, this new teaching basically, it has to appear in association with the prevailing moral laws in the guise of their terms and forms, and that for this many transitional means of deception must be devised. So yeah, I was thinking in terms of democracy as a meta idea, that yeah, within that structure, that framework, we would have to start. Of course, we're living in it, so um,
So, like, would you? Okay, yeah.
and yeah, and we have to begin with certain, well, citizens of the liberal democracies we know that exist now, and train those to relatively greater heights. So yeah, you could say already relative Superman by, yeah, Nietzsche says here, by slowly and cautiously unfettering a host of instincts now kept in check and calumniated. So slowly and cautiously um, make people slightly more, or certain people slightly more, superhuman in his sense. Um, yeah, before those really greatest peaks can, well, these can come about by design.